A new summer skin is about to drop, and hitting rocket chairs brings serious consequences now? Let's begin. Welcome back to another episode, guys. Let's talk about what we're getting this week. This week, we're getting the Echoes of Summer event. If you participate in this event, you'll be able to receive the Lucky Guy A-tier accessory called Seashell that seems to give him water effects whenever he's kind of wishing or running and wishing or rummaging through chests. And it also seems to give him like water splash effects around him whenever he uses different items, you know, like a mechanic's doll, stuff like that. You also get the B-tier skin for Prisoner called Receptionist, the B-tier skin for Sculptor called Woodcarver, and the B-tier furniture piece Coconut Tree. The Coconut Tree seems to have an interaction where it will actually drop coconuts from the tree itself onto the floor. There are also some other minor rewards, including a survivor dish, a portrait frame, photographer emote that's welcome, a piece of room music, and 2 stickers. There's also going to be a public map called Coconut Breeze. If you complete missions in this map, you'll be able to receive the A-tier furniture piece Beach Rug that doesn't seem to have any special interaction but does seem to move, and a graffiti conch shell. I believe that the Coconut Breeze thing does have different game modes. You'll be able to play like beach volleyball and stuff like that. So that's going to be exciting to see how that kind of turns out. We're getting some new store content with this summer event, including the S-tier photographer skin called Midsummer Light. I've talked about what I think about this skin. I think it looks quite good. It's not my favorite, but it's quite a good one. It's gray form though when he's not in photo world. It looks really, really cool in my opinion, as he has like red orangey hair. And there's also the A-tier accessory Sea Breeze that has splash footprint effects whenever he's walking. He has an underwater explosion when the photo world starts and ends, and also minor water effects whenever he uses his attacks, as far as I can tell. This skin will be available for both echoes and fragments. In the store, we're also getting some furniture pieces, quite a few of them actually, as we're getting the S-tier beach shower that lets you shower, pretty amazing, and has a very enthusiastic seagull that seems to sing. I didn't really listen to the audio, but they were advertising it quite a lot. And there are the A-tier furniture pieces sailboat bench that seems to be a multi-seat chair or sofa, seaside window that in my opinion looks really cool. It's just this wide window that you can put on your wall, and inflatable ducky that literally makes it look like it's floating on the floor. Very weird. And of course, there are 7 B-tier furniture pieces that are basically sandcastles and sand sculpture themed things. We're also going to see some returning content come to the store, including a ton of S-tier skins such as the Enchantress Tropical Holiday skin, the Barmaid Sea Salt Mocktail skin, the Batter Champion Helmsman skin, and Prospector's Summer Frisbee, along with their matching A-tier or S-tier accessories. I think they're A-tiers, right? And we're also getting 2 other accessories returning, including Nightwatch's Iced Beverage and Mercenary's Shadowless accessories. And a quick reminder, this week is the last week for the line crossover, so if you want to get line 1, line 2 skins, this is the time to get them, because on Thursday/Wednesday for some people, it's going to be gone. So yeah, make sure you go and do that soon. Okay, let's move on to some future content. We've had some more details about the Paper Bride crossover. As we now know, they've given us a basic description of what the event is about, the kind of the theme of it and stuff like that. You guys can read it if you want to. There's going to be a check-in event and also different missions that you'll be able to complete during the event to receive 3 graffitis based on the characters, and you get to choose 1 B-tier furniture piece, either the red scarecrow piece or the paper matchmaker furniture piece. During this event, you'll also be able to unlock stories and also mini games, and I'm assuming you would do those through matches. Then if you kind of do those things, you'll be able to receive 1 of the 2 A-tier skins, either Tao Ming Yang or Tiao Chi, for free. Collecting 3 puppets, I'm assuming you do through mini games, will reward you with some very weird looking portraits. They're kind of a little uncanny, and it's going to be weird to see those in the game. But anyway, there's going to be a social media event for that crossover as well, where if you kind of do whatever it is you need to do on social media, you'll be able to get a special portrait frame called Paper Bride. It's a really, really fancy one in my opinion. I kind of want it. We know that the skins, the S tier and also the 2 A tiers, will be available in the store for Echoes. Remember, you can still get one of those 2 A tiers for free, and the furniture will also be for Echoes with a 20% discount for the first week. We also got to see the S tier skin a little bit more in detail. We got to see kind of some of the effects it has. The skin for Perfumer seems to let you kind of float if you just stand still instead of the default kind of standing animation. It's really kind of creepy but awesome at the same time. And when she gets hit, she loses her veil, so that's kind of the effect for the skin. The accessory leaves red flowers behind her as footsteps and changes the perfume effect to match the red flower theme, along with like a cutout of the character that's kind of just floating there, spinning in a circle. We got some more details about the Frieren Crossover and some extra details that's coming on August 7th. Just a quick reminder that July 3rd is when we're getting getting Paper Bride, and August 7th is Frieren. They revealed some new crossover furniture coming with the Frieren crossover, including the A-tier Hero Himmel statue that seems to be free during the public map event, meaning there's going to be a public map with this event. I can imagine this furniture piece will have some special effects where if you interact with it, it will kind of grow blue flowers around the bottom of it, and maybe it will also get cleaner because that's kind of connected to the anime. There's also the A-tier Mimic that I really hope does the whole Frieren eating thing, and then the A-tier Solar Dragon. And we also got to see slightly better what the skins will look like in the game, as I'm probably showing them on the screen right here. They all look quite cool. We got a better look at the upcoming changes to rocket chairs. So this is something that's connected to how hunters, when they're usually toxic, I believe this is an anti-toxic feature, if hunters hit the chair, it's often considered to be toxic towards the player that's on the chair. So NetEase has kind of implemented a new feature to kind of counter that, and it's going to be like a stun if you hit the chair. Now we know that if you hit the chair one time with a survivor on it, you will receive a text warning that tells you not to do it and what will happen if you hit it again. If you hit the chair a second time, you'll be stunned for 10 seconds. That doesn't happen if there's a survivor within a certain radius of the chair, I believe. And if you hit it a third time, you get 15 seconds of stun. So that's a really long time. That does give time for people to come in and rescue whilst you're stunned. So yes, it doesn't activate if they are nearby, but survivors can come in and rescue whilst you're in your stunned animation. It doesn't get rid of it. The source of this is from Maybe Mulene on Twitter or X. We can also tell that this stun effect isn't affected by excitement, so you can't get rid of it with excitement, and it cannot be interrupted by other stuns. So an enchantress can't come in and kind of stop that stun from happening by doing a mini stun. The hunter even becomes intangible and can't be affected by things like tram and stuff like that. We also know that we're getting some new game adjustments coming soon. I'm assuming with the next season. The source of this translation at least is from IDVJPTL on Twitter or X. We know that when 2 survivors are left, bleed out is now going to be 200% faster. Each time a survivor is knocked down, the progress jumps up by an extra 25%. So this is going to make it so bleeding out or kind of slugging people on the floor kind of goes by a little bit faster, so it's less of a pain, you know, for survivors as a whole to wait such a long time. I can imagine this is not going to affect Undead. I can imagine these things just don't apply to him at all. Both hunter and survivor locations will be revealed every 25 seconds for 5 seconds, and this does not happen after the final Slifer machine is finished. I believe this just happens during the entire match. I don't see any other triggers as to when this happens, so it looks like characters will just be revealed periodically during the match. Very interesting and quite game-changing in some cases, especially for characters like Wu Chang and other characters that can teleport around the map. There's now a new setting that they're going to be adding to the game that lets you block emotes and graffiti, so this is their kind of way of making it so that hunters don't have to deal with toxic survivors, as I understand. But yeah, this is a really game-changing feature, as this means that there are a lot of emotes that people use to try and counter or trick hunters into believing certain things like flare guns and stuff like that, but now you can't do that if that setting's turned on. It's not on by default, I can imagine. You have to turn it on yourself, but that's still quite interesting. They've made it so moving emotes when you're running cannot be interrupted by abilities moving or so on, so maybe you're now stuck in the emote. They've made some rank point adjustments, and they've also changed how healing speed is calculated, and they've changed the minimum and maximum speeds, although I don't know what they changed them to. We're getting a ton of character adjustments as well. I want to give a quick summary here. Enchantress is going to be starting now with 1 stun at the beginning of the match, and they've kind of reduced her stack accumulation near the hunter overall. For Archer, they've nerfed her by the looks of it by making it so if there's another survivor nearby the hunter when they are standing still to get rid of their percentage of laceration, the progress will go even faster, and if there's a survivor nearby when they're stunned, the stun will be shorter. And they've also made it so her bow and crossbow cooldown is slightly longer. They've buffed Fire Lady by making it so that a hunter cannot hear her breathing sounds and sound effects or voice when she's invisible. Her invisibility cooldown only pauses when Fire Lady is chaired, not downed or injured, so that's a little bit of a nerf there. If she uses her Cypher Machine targeting feature, they've made it so it loses less progress per second, that I think is a buff as well. If she uses her Cane ability when she's on cooldown with her invisibility, it will reduce the cooldown of the invisibility by 7 seconds by the looks of it. Quite dramatic, I think. Meteorologist has had some changes or some nerfs all around, where her stratus and rainfall consumption is increased, meaning that you'll be able to use less abilities overall. Her Gale Push is now also affected by Hunter Persona web traits, abilities, and even more. So it looks like hunters will be able to counter just how far they're pushed or for how long they're pushed for. And they've buffed Naiad by giving her initial Abyss Closure moisture level a slight increase. So she goes from like 30% usually at first presence now to 35 whenever she kind of gets someone stuck in a water area. When she's at full presence, her harpoon gets pulled back faster. And a bit of a nerf here, her basement water accumulation is reduced, so you'll be able to maybe rescue a little bit better against turn basement by the looks of it. There are also a ton of changes coming to the persona web. I'm not going to talk about them here because there are way too many. I recommend you go and check out Kuroshiro's videos. I haven't watched them yet, but I noticed that he's done 2 persona web videos. That's quite a lot to talk about, and I can imagine that he's talked about it quite well and explained it. So go and check out his video. If you haven't already, make sure that you check out the video that's on the screen right here because YouTube thinks that you will like it.